Morning, everyone. I just wanted to say how delighted I am to have the opportunity to talk to you all today in relation to the theme of local nature and local people, which is very much at the forefront of Natural England's agenda, as I'm sure it is for many of you who are listening today. This is my first time speaking at a virtual conference, and it nearly went very wrong this morning. A van of scaffolders turned up 3 hours early to do some work on the house, but thankfully my husband's bribed them with some cup of tea and some biscuits, and have agreed to stay quiet for the next half an hour or so. And the dog and the cat are also suitably bribed in the back garden. So fingers crossed, things should all go seamlessly. So I'd like to share a few slides. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all now, and hopefully that should work. So the government's 25-year environment plan sets out what we'll do to improve the environment within a generation. Connecting people with the environment to improve their health and well-being is a strong theme, along with protecting and recovering nature. So why is it important for people to be connected with nature? There's strong evidence which tells us that the natural environment provides a wide range of benefits to individuals, society, and the economy. A good connection with nature improves physical and mental health and improves our sense of well-being. But we know that not everyone benefits equally, and that this has a detrimental effect on the overall quality of life for people who experience undue environmental benefits, such as poor air quality, flooding, and those who don't have as much access to the natural environment. These benefits and inequalities are well evidenced through Natural England's MENE data, or Monitor of Engagement with the Natural Environment. It's the biggest survey of its kind and contains a decade's worth of evidence on how we use and enjoy nature and how we're motivated to protect the natural environment. Between 2009 and 2019, it gathered nearly 500,000 adult responses, plus data on 30,000 children, and the evidence is pretty powerful. 87% of respondents agreed that being in nature made them happy. People who visit the natural environment most often have the greatest life satisfaction, more self-worth, more happiness, and less anxiety. People from most deprived areas are least likely to visit nature frequently, with around a 20 percentage point difference between adults and children living in the most deprived areas and those from the most affluent. There's also a clear difference in age, with older people falling into the lower visit frequency group. So there's a clear need for our sector to be reflective in relation to access to nature and inequality, and the current situation with COVID-19 provides us with an interesting opportunity to do that. I think lockdowns highlighted in many ways how important the natural environment is for people's health and well-being, and we're only just beginning to understand what impact a lack of access to green and natural spaces might have on people. So there's now an urgent need to make sector-wide advances in our thinking around the challenges of recovery. According to demographic data from the Office of National Statistics, the Tees Valley area has an ageing and simultaneously declining population, with employment rates and earnings lower than the UK average. Life expectancy is also lower than the UK average. So when we factor this in alongside the MENE data, this suggests that connecting people with nature in the Tees Valley is not without its challenges. However, the Tees is also one of the most biodiverse catchments in the country, from the blanket bogs and hay meadows in Upper Teesdale to the coastal and estuarine habitats of Teesmouth. It supports nationally and internationally important salt marshes, sand dunes, breeding, wintering and migrating water birds, harbour seals and unique geological features. So the fact that we're all here today via the Tees Valley Nature Partnership to celebrate the fantastic work that's happening in the area and to talk about our ambition for the future is really testament to this. And for me personally, the opportunities far outweigh the challenges. Just last year, we celebrated the decades of work by industry and nature conservationists by confirming the notification of the Teesmouth and Cleveland Coast SSSI. It's a huge 30 square kilometres in size and will ensure that the wildlife of the Tees estuary is secure for generations to enjoy, as well as making a significant contribution to the Blue Belt of England. So how can we go further to improve the connection between people and nature in the Tees Valley? A lot of that is actually about building on the fantastic work that's already been done to date. The opening of the 10-mile stretch of the England Coast Path from Newport Bridge to North Gare is a great example. At just 10 miles in length, it's a relatively short stretch, but it passes through RSPB Saltholm, Teesmouth National Nature Reserve, and the recently expanded Teesmouth and Cleveland Coast SSI and SPA. There's a great programme of events for people of all ages at Saltholm and on the Nature Reserve, and the Coastal Path provides real opportunities to grow that offer and bring in new audiences. Local plans also incorporate green infrastructure policies in the Tees Valley, and the measures to address impact of housing on the coast, including new links from housing to existing rights-of-way networks and local green spaces like at Kirkleatham and Redcar. There's also more formal measures at the coast to improve interpretation for the general public through signage and wardening. Green policies like this are key in ensuring that future development goes hand in hand with access to nature and the health and well-being benefits that provides. The North Pennines in Upper Teesdale is an area of outstanding natural beauty, and we're also in close proximity to the North York Moors National Park. So there's huge opportunities there to build on those linkages through the Nature Recovery Network too. There have also been a number of managed coastal realignments in the estuary, including at Greetham Creek. Nature-based solutions to issues like flooding and carbon capture are going to be increasingly valuable to society in the face of climate change. So we're going to hear more about the work that's going on in relation to natural assets and natural capital from Mike, Tom and Eddie later on today. We also need to think about how we address new audiences. One of the challenges that my teams faced during COVID-19, which many partners will recognise, is the need to adapt to changing circumstances, not just in the way that we do our day-to-day business, but in how we engage. We've seen unprecedented visitor numbers on many of our national nature reserves, and that's sometimes been accompanied by behaviours that we're not used to experiencing, certainly not on the scale that we've experienced them. So one of the actions that we've taken to try and influence this has been just to go right back to basics. So we've updated the countryside code and we've circulated new posters. We've also been exploring how to engage with people who aren't currently able to access nature due to caring responsibilities or having to stay indoors because they're shielding. And some of that includes virtual tours, video messaging and writing blogs, which has been hugely successful. And it's just prompted us to think actually about how we can use these tools to engage with different audiences in the future. The virtual NNR tours have been particularly successful, so I'm looking forward to Matt's tour as part of the programme today. So we've had a bit of a whistle-stop tour in relation to local people and local nature, covering UK government policy, evidence, and some of the challenges and opportunities that presents for us living and working in the Tees Valley, all of which you'll have the chance to explore further during the course of the conference today. I think the key message that I'd like everyone to take away is that we need to facilitate a step change in people's relationship with the natural environment. In order to be successful in scaling up nature recovery, addressing climate change and biodiversity loss, we need to increase the level at which we're engaging with and working through the public. We need to improve levels of nature connection and in turn, inspire people to care about and take action for the natural environment, as well as support ongoing investment. People and nature are inextricably linked, but we need to work on the balance of that relationship. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference.